Hey everybody, I have a kind of just an interesting thing to show you today. So I decided to dip my hands into vibe coding. So if you haven't heard of vibe coding before, it's basically the process of, you don't know any code, you don't know how to code, but you use some of these AI tools to say, hey, AI, I want to create this, 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 and this. And you give it a few ideas, a few things on what you want from a feature set. And in theory, I decided to give it a test. So on my site here, I use ChatGPT. It's not really probably the best for creating code, in my opinion. At least from my experience so far. There's probably better platforms like I think it's called A0 or however you pronounce it. But in any case, I went to ChatGPT and spent about, I'd say, about 15 minutes. And I told it, so I have the pro version of ChatGPT and I'm using ChatGPT 5. And I said, hey, yeah, you are an amazing developer for WordPress plugins. Okay. And it said, great. All right, here's some ideas. So what I said is, all right, I wanted to create a WordPress plugin that's a search box. It's connected to an LLM with the basic idea of learn all the content on my website in order to be able to act as a kind of a chatbot slash search box so that you can find things on the website. And it would do a style chat with you. And so I said, and then of course I said, make it a plugin, which I can automatically install onto my site. And so it said, boom, your plugin is ready. And it gave me instructions on how to use it and things like that. It took it maybe like 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes to produce it. And so I was like, great. All right. And so I went out and tested that. And I decided, I need a few more features on it. And so I said, all right, new functionality. Let's give it a personality. Let a person contact somebody like they're going to talk to a real person. Send them an email and a couple other things. Like I also gave it some. I don't see the chat here, but I told it to give it some custom colors and a couple of bits and pieces like that, and it did it. And it says, all right, it gave me some instructions again on how to use it. And so the result after about, I'd say 15 minutes of work, maybe 30 minutes of work, is I've got this little chat box down here that I'm able to click on and close. I was like, all right, that's cool. That works. Put it where I wanted it to go. And so I was like, all right, let's see what this thing knows. And so, I mean, of course, you would hope I know the own content on my website. So I said, all right, let's just play with it here a little bit. So let's give it a question like, all right, I know I talk a lot about SEO. What is SEO? All right. Now, I'm not a coder. I didn't really look at the code, but it did what I asked it to do. And it said, all right, here's what it stands for. It gave, let's see, it gives me a pretty decent little answer. Now, it's, of course, pulling from my website. And I think probably the last content I had was about SEO in 2024. But it gives me some links to different articles on my website, not somewhere else, strictly my websites. Great. It's also given me a contact or email or link to a contact form. Perfect. Okay, in case somebody wants to do anything. I've got some other content on our site. Let's ask it some more stuff. So, all right, what is the grunt test? All right. And so it's thinking. It's going out to ChatGPT and using it to generate. And so it gives me what the grunt test is, which was created by StoryBrand. I actually have an article on my website about this. It pulled from my article on the 3 core things. What do you offer? How to make life better? And what do I need to buy your stuff? So this is a very popular article I have on my website. But when you dig into this a little bit, it's like, here's a strange thing. Now, if only I could grunt my way to a donut shop and shows a little donut icon. Well, I gave it some additional instructions on creating a personality for this chatbot. And so if I log in, I'm just going to log into my website here and go into the plugin backend for this. And so it created like a little plugin for me here. And so it's using OpenAI. That's the only one I told it to use. I got an API key. It's using this particular model. Um, it did create this all for me. I was not specific, but it said, yeah, so it's creating all this content based off posts and pages, even though I could use these others. Not really sure what chunk sizes or top K results. I don't know. It didn't give me instructions about those, but um, I can do it as a static panel or chat window. I can define a color that is being used. So this color box here, and that's the color. It's customized. Cool, did that for me. The icon that shows up down here, you can't quite tell, but it's a classic Homer Simpson meme icon that is used. And so I told it from a personality standpoint, you're Homer Simpson. You love donuts and like to talk about them. You have a fun personality and like dad jokes. And so that's what it's kind of trying to do here. Let's see if I just ask it a dad joke. Tell me a dad joke. What will it do? All right. Why did the donut go to the dentist? Because it needed a chocolate filling. All right. If you need more laughs or tips, let me know. Now, if I try, and so that's cool. It has a personality I gave it. I can change that personality to anything I want to. I could, it's kind of like the limits of ChatGPT are probably based off of the limits that I've got here. There's a lot of things I can do. Now, if I go and ask it some questions about something totally irrelevant from my site, tell me what quantum computing is. Let's see if it actually answers. It really shouldn't, because I don't have anything on that. Yep. There we go. I'm sorry, but the site context doesn't provide information about quantum computing. You may want to check out a page dedicated to technology or computing for more details. Okay, so it's being friendly about it, but I had told it in the when you create this plugin, only focus on the content on my site. So anybody could take this plugin, put it on their own website, put in their own OpenAI key, and give it its own personality, and it would be built off of your own website. So it isn't just tailored to mine. So I did tell it also, here's some contact information, some other bits and pieces, and it's got this rebuild index now, which will crawl my own site. And I think finally, let's see if we can get this to work. And so I told it, all right, talk to someone. I gave it instructions, and I can get this to work sometimes. It doesn't work perfectly. Hey, there we go. It worked this time. And so if it says, yep, I don't want to talk to an AI, I want to talk to somebody. Of course, I did not build in real-time chat into this. I didn't even try. But if I put in my name, John Paul, and I tell it to send me an email about this whole chat, send to a person. All right. Well, guess what? Let's see. All right, so show. All right, so it sent me an email and said, all right, there's the contact information, and it sent me the entire conversation that I've had so far with this chatbot, which is pretty cool. Now, I really don't think I would be installing this on just a major production website without an actual coder looking through and making sure this thing works, tweaking it. There's a lot of little things on here that I ought to be changing up. But for 30 minutes of work, this is kind of interesting. Now, there's probably a lot of things I wouldn't necessarily do in vibe coding, at least not yet. I wouldn't create a huge, giant SaaS platform by any stretch of the imagination. But it shows what we really we probably need to be paying attention to this stuff across the board for anybody that wants to have rapidly built custom applications for their websites. It can create apps. It can create workflows and processes. It can connect all sorts of different systems that are out there through published APIs. There's a lot of stuff this can do. Is it perfect? No, and I would not use it for enterprise level anything. But if you want to, come to the website. I'll leave this up for maybe a week, and you can come and play with it. And be sure to try and use, if you want to send it to me, say talk to someone. That seems to work the most. Talk to a person, I can't seem to get it to work, and other things like that. So it's not perfect, but give it a try. Just if you want to have fun with it. But in any case, this is vibe coding. I'm pretty impressed by what it can do. I do see a lot of limitations with it so far, but I think that over time it's going to be able to do more and more. And we need to learn how to leverage these tools in order to grow our businesses. So, in any case, that's it for today. Appreciate it.